Hi, so today I'm going to take up the takedown of American education, and I'm going to have to do this super fast because I've tried already and I can't get through in 10 minutes. So it's based on this book. Well, it's based on this book. She's this author, which I've mentioned already, Enough is Enough. It's a 2024 book. I've mentioned another video on it. Fantastic book, what's happening in the US education system right now with psychiatry and psychology completely destroying the kids. But she's got an excellent chapter at the beginning, which gives the timeline very briefly of what's happened. And it's a very similar timeline that I've had on my research and my articles. So I'm just using her book because it's actually really good. And you can check out all the names and all the dates, or you can get the book itself off Amazon. It's a fantastic read, especially for you US parent right now. You want to know about it. So I'm going to be really quick. Okay, Noah Webster, which is who is an extraordinary character in American history. Noah Webster publishes a grammatical institute of the English language intended as a model to use in American education. This is in 1785. 1828, perhaps Webster's greatest accomplishment and contribution to mankind was the publishing of the American Dictionary of the English Language, which took 28 years to complete. Americans now had an English language that supported the American way of life, which had its foundation primarily in Christian beliefs and not the King of England's ideals. Noah Webster knew then what is true now. Knowing the definition of words is key to understanding and maintaining life and liberty. I mean, I have all my dictionaries here. I don't have an original Noah Webster's. Believe me, I'm trying to get hold of one, but it's going to have to be at auction somewhere along the line when I can afford it. A fantastic job, but this is what I'm talking about in all my videos that I do. Yeah, words, understanding the words. Now he got that right. Now 1836, eclectic readers, commonly called McGuffey readers, were published. These are a series of reading books intended for 1st to 6th grades. 120 million copies are sold from 1836 to 1960. Why are they not using that right now in American schools? And we should be using that in English schools. Here you go. 1845, the American Pictorial Primer, or the first book for children, is published. This reader starts with the student learning the sounds of individual letters, then letter combination, then words, phonics. Okay, 1863, Felter's Natural Series Primary Arithmetic. Fantastic books on how to teach arithmetic. The Ray's arithmetic, I think, is mentioned later at the back of the book. Ray's arithmetic is quite similar. Those guys were extraordinary individuals who really researched how to best teach arithmetic to the kids and mathematics in a positive way that you could truly master the subject. Now, I'm going to skip some dates here. But in 1879, now these are the two videos that I've pinned. 1879, something really occurred, which would be the make-break point in the direction of our civilization at the moment. I know it's a very strong words that I'm saying, but they are absolutely correct. Because this was when Wilhelm Wundt established the world's first psychological lab at Leipzig University in Germany, studying and experimenting on man as a stimulus response animal, not as a spiritual being with free will. And my videos clearly explain the original meaning of psychology, so the videos that are pinned, and how Wundt changed those definitions, and how all these groups and vested interest, very interested in manipulating the masses, really jumped on the bandwagon. Because, wow, if man's a stimulus response animal, woof, easy cannon fodder. You can experiment, you can do all sorts. Oh, there's no free will, it's all the brain. Let's go for it. And seriously, I'm making light of it, but it's probably like the grossest, most horrible thing that's probably happened in the last 150 years. So here we continue. Now, Wundt had an assistant, and that assistant was James Cattell, now from the US. James Cattell, a PhD from Leipzig, was his assistant for 3 years, and he was the first American to publish a dissertation on psychology. And a few years later, James Cattell became the president of the American Psychological Association. Bear in mind that psychology was not that subject up to 1879. It had nothing to do with behavior. Please watch my videos. Now, at that time, James Cattell theorized that reading words was not done by sounding out letters, but by remembering whole words. So here's the man that introduced the whole word method and basically went right against phonics. And the whole word method doesn't work. It's just memorizing pictures and symbols attached to it. Now, 1898, the father of progressive education, John Dewey, became one of the main supporters of the look and say method, which is this whole word method. Dewey was a psychologist who had a dream of transitioning America into a socialist country without ever having to wage a war. Now, this is what he said, quoted from his essay, The Primary Education Fetish. He writes, "The plea for the predominance of learning to read in early school life because of the great importance attaching to literature seems to me a perversion." Now, he's basically saying here, it's quite amazing, he's basically saying that teaching children to read is a perversion. To teach a child to read in primary school is a perversion. And these were your top psychologists running education at the time. Now, the sabotage of American education did not happen overnight. It had to be funded. And this is where John D. Rockefeller Sr. really comes in. He comes in because he wanted a nation of workers, not a nation of thinkers, and he had the money for it. So here enters John D. Rockefeller Sr., who, in an effort to change his image from greedy businessman to humanitarian, donated $1 million, equivalent to $33 million in 2022, to create the General Education Board. Now, in 1913, the head of the General Education Board made this statement, and I'm going to show you because you can pause and read it for yourself. And all the words are defined here, so I hope you can see this very clearly. I'm trying to make it as clear as possible. Here we go, 1913. But I'm going to read it very quickly. He said, "In our dream, we have limitless resources and the people yield themselves with perfect docility to our molding hand. The present educational conventions fade from our minds, and unhampered by tradition, we work our own goodwill upon a grateful and responsive rural folk. We shall not try to make these people or any of their children into philosophers or men of learning or of science." So this is referring to the common people, the masses, the riffraff, me, riffraff, you know, the one we can dispense with. So here we go. Then comes Rockefeller. The Rockefeller family, well, it's already come, but then the Rockefeller family would donate another $180 million towards this cause, providing major funding for schools across the US, making Rockefeller very influential in shaping the schools. A quote from John D. Rockefeller Sr., "I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers." Now, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to have to do a second part, but very important. From a 2022 article entitled, "Toward a More Robust Study of Mental Health, Rockefeller Foundation Funding for Psychiatry," by Teresa Icobelli. Now, this is what she says. "The development of the field of psychiatry in the United States was largely precipitated by Rockefeller Foundation interests and funding. While the Rockefeller Foundation had funded initiatives in what was then termed the field of mental hygiene, eugenics and all that kind of stuff. So while the Rockefeller Foundation had funded initiatives in what was then termed the field of mental hygiene as early as 1914, the real work in building up the field of psychiatry began in the 1930s. And there is so much more on this. And this is why I do separate videos concerning psychiatry and psychology, because we have like 120 years of history there. And there's so much that is just cannot be done in like little 1 or 2 minute video. Like the whole thing can't be done that way. And you see I'm running out of time. I'm on 9 minutes. So I'm going to end it here. And I hope this gives you a quick overview. This is the book. If you want more data on it, it's brief, but it's very, very good on what you do to help your children out right now, especially if you're in the US, and especially if you have teachers that are trying to label your kids and all sorts of things. There's also loads of info on homeschooling, loads of resources. Really, really, really good. So I really recommend that for all parents.